So glycine NAC, that is a combination of glycine, an amino acid, and N-acetylcysteine, NAC for short. That is a form of cysteine, which is another amino acid. So it's two amino acids. So why use N-acetylcysteine and not just cysteine? Why not just use the actual amino acid and not this form of the amino acid? Well, there's a couple of reasons I can think of, but one I'm going to go over here, I guess, somewhat briefly, is bioavailability. Cysteine is not very soluble in solutions, like a liquid solution. So I'll pop a picture again of cysteine here. There's the S there, I'll kind of circle it. That is sulfur, and the sulfur forms what's called a thiol group, THIOL. Now, if you put cysteine into a solution, what will happen is, and I'll see if I can put a little animation of how it works here. The cysteine molecules will bond together at the thiol group, at that sulfur atom, right? And it forms cysteine. So the amino acid is cysteine. I'm horrible at spelling, I believe that's correct. But when they bond together at that sulfur atom, it is called cysteine, but they're both pronounced cysteine. Oh well, that's English for you. Now, cysteine, it precipitates in a solution. What that means is, if you put it into a liquid solution, it forms a solid. So not very good for bioavailability, right? For us to absorb that through the intestines. So N-acetylcysteine is very soluble, much easier to absorb, because you need to get it through those intestines if you're taking it as a supplement in order for our liver to use it, which is ultimately where it goes, is to the liver. The reason being is glycine and cysteine are two of the three amino acids, the third being glutamic acid, right, that are used to make glutathione, right? So glutathione is a tripeptide, 3 amino acids. Now, glutathione is produced by the body, but it is used as an antioxidant. It's also used as a detoxifier for like metals in the body. So a couple of use cases here. First is that N-acetylcysteine will be given intravenously, so be given by IV in a hospital setting with someone who has acetaminophen toxicity, right? Too much acetaminophen. Now, acetaminophen is the medication, the brand name being Tylenol, but you can get generic forms of it like Walmart Equate brand or something like that. But you'll see on the bottle, I'll pop a picture up here of it. There'll be warnings on the back of it, like do not exceed the dosage as prescribed on the back of the bottle, because it is toxic to the liver. So what happens is the acetaminophen is metabolized into, this is a long word, N-acetyl P-benzoquinone. Let me try that again. N-acetyl P-benzoquinone. So that acetaminophen is metabolized into that, all right? And that is very toxic to the liver. It's broken down in what's called phase 1 drug metabolism, all right? So when we take in medication, substances, etc., even caffeine follows this as well. Our body uses these phases to break down the substance, all right? So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, this is strictly off of memory on this. So phase 1 will involve something called the cytochromes P450. Those are enzymes that break down these substances. There's one for caffeine, which I'll pop up here, and then there's one for acetaminophen to convert it into the N-acetyl P-benzoquinone. I'll pop it up here. All right. The whole idea is the body's trying to make it more soluble to eventually then excrete it, get it out of the system. So again, the N-acetyl P-benzoquinone is very toxic to the liver. So if we're consuming too much acetaminophen, it'll damage the liver. So what hospitals will do, again, is provide NAC intravenously through IV in order for the liver to then use the NAC, which converts into cysteine, glycine, and glutamic acid to make glutathione, and then in order to neutralize the N-acetyl-P-benzoquinone, so then it doesn't damage the liver any further, and then hopefully the liver's natural regeneration properties will then, help the liver get back to where it was before. Hopefully too much damage hasn't been done. All right. Another use case is mercury toxicity. So we have an example. You have a big industrial plant. They're belching out pollutants into the air. Well, that can contain mercury, and the mercury gets into the atmosphere, and then eventually the mercury comes down in the form of rain, and it gets into the ocean, where then like bacteria, etc., can turn the mercury into methylmercry. It activates it. All right. The fish then can eat the plankton, etc. They get the methylmercury, and then we eat the fish. So then we get the methylmercury, the active form, which is no bueno, not good. All right. So going back to what we talked about before with cysteine, the molecule of cysteine and the thiol group, well, mercury has a high affinity for the thiol groups, all right? They really get attracted to one another. And the mercury can bind to the thiol group of cysteine. Right? Now, where that can become a big problem is in our old noggin, the brain, the blood-brain barrier, which we talked about before in previous episodes. When that molecule of the mercury and the cysteine get to the endothelial cells of the blood-brain barrier, well, the brain thinks, or I should say the body thinks, this is an amino acid, like methionine. Come on in. Well, it's not methionine, it's mercury, so no bueno. Well, the astrocytes in our brain, the glial cells, they make glutathione as well. And the glutathione is in the endothelial cells. So what it can do is it can go in there and hijack the methylmercury, bond to it, where then it is effluxed from the endothelial cells. That means it's removed back into the blood, and then we can excrete it. So glutathione, very good. The issue comes is when you take in too much mercury or too much acetaminophen in the two examples I provided. There's just too much of it for glutathione to keep up with, all right? There's just not enough glutathione. So that's what the issue is when you get the toxicity, too much of it.